2021 work session of the Penfield Town Board. I'm going to officially call the meeting to order. Prior to this meeting, the Town Board spent time with the Assessor's Office, Tax Receiver, Town Clerk, Building, Fire, Fire Marshal, Zoning, Code Enforcement, Town Historian, PCTV website to review priorities and goals. And I'd like to recognize all the department heads for all their hard work that they do, for their presentations and their efforts. All of them did a great job, and I want to thank them for all the support that they provide, not only to all of our team across the town, but also to the town board. So before we get underway with the work session, I will just highlight what has come to be very common official notice. Due to COVID-19 virus and the closing of town operations consistent with the governor's executive orders, the February 10th, 2021 Town Board work session meeting will be held remotely via Zoom. This meeting will also be video recorded and broadcast live via the town's website at penfield.org and on the town's government access cable channel 1303 and on streaming media device, that is Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Please search Penfield TV in your device's app store. This is a free app. The meeting will later be transcribed. Any questions that you might have regarding video coverage, please contact Penfield TV at 340-8661. That's Penfield TV 340-8661. We'll let the record show that all of the board is present. Tonight we have them zoomed in, council members Moore, Cole, Ockenden, and Draw. And here in the auditorium, our Deputy Town Clerk, Sue Scheit, and myself, Town Supervisor. And we also have two members of our team, Eric Tate, Director of Public Works, and Mr. Costello, Director of Development Services. So with that, board, we do have the January 27th minutes before us. Hopefully everyone has had an opportunity to review those, and I would ask if there is a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from January 27th.
It's been moved by Councilman Ockenden, seconded by Councilman Moore. I'll ask, is there any discussion on those minutes? Seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Draw.
Aye.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sue, for putting those together and capturing everything from our last meeting. We have monthly reports that were due today. Most of those monthly reports are in. We have a couple that I'm sure that by the time we hit tomorrow, Friday by the latest, those will be in. And thank you, as always, for our department heads for getting those in. This evening, we do not have any public hearings. We do have one guest. We have Wendi, Hollenbeck-Loyet, and Valerie for discussion regarding a possible use of the Daisy Flour Mill. And as we're bringing them in online with us via Zoom, I'll recognize Mr. Costello for any additional comments.
Thank you, Mr. LaFountain. Wendy's with us this evening, and the board should know that she actually met with the Historic Preservation Board last week, pretty much in the same format as she's with you this evening to discuss a proposal she has for the possible purchase of the Daisy Flour Mill and its potential uses. The board listened to her comments, and I think we're fairly comfortable with what she's proposing. And I thought it would be a good opportunity to get her in to see you, as she would have to apply for a special permit to allow the uses she's proposing in a historic site. So with that, I'll bring Wendi in, and she can give you her ideas regarding the property.
Great. Wendi, Valerie, I apologize. Welcome. Hope everyone is being well and safe. And please, we did receive the materials that you submitted to Mr. Costello, so thank you very much. The board does have copies of those. But if you would like to go in a little bit more detail with what your thoughts and plans might be, we'd welcome to hear all that.
Okay. So, all right, so pardon me if I look to the left. I'm looking at the other screen, kind of going by the letter of intent, so I don't miss anything and I don't go off on a tangent. I don't want to waste anyone's time. So we would like to turn the Daisy Flour Mill into a state-of-the-art indoor dog park with focusing all of the dog park in the ballroom, the 3,500 square foot ballroom, with a state-of-the-art AstroTurf with a grid below that, sealed concrete below that, drainage system into our piping, and then toys and chill out rooms and pedestrian perimeter that goes around the entire dog park, so folks can stand at a half wall and look over and watch their dogs play, or they can play with them. We'll also have paid referees, is what we're calling them, and they will be calling the shots on these dogs, making sure that they're behaving well and getting treats and they're cleaning up after them and keeping the place smelling good and very, very safe at all times. So how it would work is guests would come into the center entrance that currently exists with the awning. We would change that awning to our brand. When you come in, you would go to the left and you would check in at what we would like to create as what looks like a ballpark concession stand with a half wall and an awning. So you walk up and there are 4 or 5 referees standing there checking in your dogs for you. Let us know if you've got a membership already attained online, and then you go in and check your dog into the dog park. Then on the right-hand side where the restaurant, currently the restaurant and bar is, we would like to maintain that as a restaurant and bar. And that will be the lounge part of Rock Dog Lounge. The play park is the dog park that's on the other side. It's a very separate entity. No food or drink is allowed in the dog park, obviously, for health code reasons and the Liquor Commission. And it's pretty much where best friends come to play. We'd like to do on that outside where there's a current deck, seating for eating and drinking beers or whatever you're drinking. And we have that laid out so it's also completely safe and separate from the dog park. And then it's on 3 acres, so we would like to utilize some of the grassy area for Adirondack chairs and gathering spaces, cornhole. If paddlers are paddling by, we would like to market to them and other paddling companies to give them discounts to come in for, burgers and fries and a beer. What else? But, basically maintaining the restaurant and bar and grill feel for it and a gathering place. But the ballroom completely converted into a very safe indoor dog park. And we think that it will do extremely well in the muddy spring and the cold, cold winter. And I think it'll do very, very well in the summer, as well as a very safe place for you to drop off your fur kid and go have dinner and drinks. We'll also be offering all-day doggy daycare, Tuesday through Friday. We plan to be closed completely on Mondays for dog training events. We want to work with a couple of different dog trainers to come in and do dog training events, and also have an opportunity to clean the place once a week and give everybody a day off. What else? The basement, we would like to eventually, I'm not sure that we can do it right away, but we want to turn that eventually into a second wine tasting, wine bar, kind of speakeasy, loungy part of Rock Dog Lounge. And then the upstairs portion we want to turn into a private event space. Oh, and within the bar area, those bin rooms, we want to maintain every bit of the historic aspect of this building and maintain those bin rooms as dart rooms where you're playing darts, or even a pool table, but as their gaming bins. So they stay called the bin room, but they become gaming spaces for groups. And then the other thing was we want to maintain the name by calling it Rock Dog Lounge at the Daisy Flour Mill. Because we love the equipment, we love the look of it, we want to revitalize it as much as we can and make it into a gathering place in the beautiful Ellison Park.
Got it. Okay. board questions, for either Wendi or Valerie regarding this proposal?
I've never heard of such a concept. Is there any kind of, do you know of any other location that has a dog park with a, I don't know, restaurant?
They are popping up all over the U.S. I am from Dallas, Texas. I've lived here for almost 3 years in Rochester. They are really popular in Texas on an outdoor scale. Because the weather is so good there, you can have a business that is focused on outdoors 10 months of the year. So there are these huge dog parks with taco stands, taqueria, bar, and all of this, but it's all outdoor centric, which we can't do here. So we've done our research for the last 2 years and talked to the health department and talked to the liquor commission on what we need to do in the space that we need to find to make this meet all of their criteria to keep the dogs and the alcohol and the food very, very separate. So this would be something very different in the U.S. I think, like Rochester's obviously already on the map when it comes to cool places and Easton School of Music and Kodak and restaurants, but I think this would really put a new place for us on the map with a very, very innovative concept.
The ballroom, it's historic. I mean, it's really old. I mean, the building is 1800s, and how do you ventilate the smell? I mean, you got the dogs, you got they do
Well, the ballroom's not that old. It's new to the historic part of the building. I believe it was in the 90s. The ballroom was built in the 90s. So its ventilation is quite modern. And we absolutely are considering, for COVID reasons and for dog poop smell reasons, a ventilation system as well as UV lighting in there to zap the germs and zap the smells. We also talked today with the contractor about putting ceiling fans in there. We're planning on lots of different things to make sure that there's no odor or anything like that.
Diaper genies.
Diaper genies for the poop, and trying to think.
Our referees in there cleaning it up right away and putting it into a diaper genie. So.
Yeah, it'll be like the tennis ball people at Wimbledon. They'll just be hauling it butt across, grabbing the poop, getting rid of it as quick as they can, giving them a treat. There will be paid referees in there keeping it clean at all times. Yeah, we want diners to be happy and comfortable and not get a waft of a Great Dane done. We don't want them to smell that. We want them to get their rock dog dump plate that looks like a garbage plate, but not have any smells of dogs.
Okay, so you have dogs. I mean, there's big dogs, there's little dogs. Would you have like a division of dogs? Or?
Yes, yeah, there's 3,500 square feet, and we mapped out just today what the perimeter looks like and the safety entrances, so no dogs make a great escape out of it as they're trying to exit. And then, what part is sectioned off for little dogs. Obviously, 2/3 of it is for large dogs, 1/3 for little dogs. And then we have chill out rooms designed for each little space, like 3 for the little dogs, 4 to 5 for the big dogs. So if someone's not behaving well or playing well with others, or mom and dad are watching the game and they're not ready to leave yet, they can go to a chill out space, order something off the menu, have dinner, have drinks, dog bed, and just chill out, and not be in the big open play space anymore.
Wow. I'm a dog person, so I find this fascinating.
We are too. We have 3 dogs, and they're all rescues, and we're just crazy for dogs, obviously. And we've had dogs since we were toddlers. And so, we want to partner with local adoption agencies. We want to partner with anybody and everybody we can to bring people to Ellison Park, to bring them.
Have you talked to the county since they run the dog park down at Ellison Park?
We have not talked to the county yet as the one. We've talked to the health department, we've talked to everybody. We have not talked to the county yet. I can't imagine they would have a problem with it because we would market to that. Like when you finish up at the outdoor dog park, come on over. We'd like to put a mobile dog grooming unit in the parking lot.
No.
So we could even market to like, come get your dog cleaned off from the county dog park and come on into the indoor park while your folks go have dinner, kind of thing.
Okay.
Wendi, Valerie, this is Andy Moore. Quick question for you. When you talk about dinner or lunch, what kind of menu items are you talking about?
Well, if you want to, you can go to rockdoglounge.com and you can click on the menu, the food menu, and I have it pulled up in front of me. So basically, I've designed the site and designed the menu. What I'm going after is a ballpark, dog park feel, but elevated menu. So everything from buffalo wings and nachos to low and slow Texas barbecued ribs. What else? We've got, it's all elevated bar food. So hush puppies that are crabby puppies with lump crab meat, squash puppies. We have vegan things. We have meat items. But so far, the menu is not fully developed yet. It's tacos and grill food, like very, very simple but elevated grill food.
So is there, I was trying to understand your explanation, and so hypothetically, I guess, you know, I have a dog, and so my wife and I come to your establishment. We can bring our dog, the dog can go play, get some exercise while we get something to eat, and then an hour and a half later, come pick up our dog and leave. So is that kind of what you're thinking of as a part of your offering?
100%. And if you dropped your dog off all day long for doggy daycare for $30, when you come back at 6 o'clock after work, if you come back and check in with us and you want your dog to continue staying past doggy daycare hours, you can do that for free and go have dinner. We wouldn't charge anything extra or anything like that. And we want to market to the folks who tell us, I want to go to happy hour, but I have to go home and feed and walk my dog. Well, you don't have to do that. Just leave them with us all day long. We'll take care of them all day. We'll get by your first beer, and you know your dog stays with us.
Yeah. Are you doing overnight boarding?
We're not planning on it yet,
Yeah.
but we're not taking it completely off the table either.
Okay. All right.
There might possibly be an opportunity to do that in the upstairs space.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Wendy, hi Wendy.
Hello.
I'm Debbie Draw. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Wendy and Valerie. So, what is your background then? How did you come to your expertise in this field? Or
Okay, well, so we're enormous dog lovers. We've rescued a lot of dogs over the years, fostered dogs. So we're not dog experts, but we have a lot of dog experts in our back pockets. I started out in the restaurant business, as a lot of people do, in high school and in college, and I always missed it. And I did a little bit of caterings and bartendings along the way when I was in my professional career in advertising and marketing. And I retired from advertising and marketing last fall to dive deeply into this project. And excuse me, for 25 years, I was in advertising and marketing at JCPenney, AT&T, 7-Eleven corporate, and then a couple of boutique agencies in LA, and focused on organic search engine optimization, digital marketing, and just ready to get the heck out of it and get back into hospitality. I mean, I think you can tell, like, listening to me, I love talking to people, I love serving people, and I love cooking. So I actually, when I retired, called my friend Drew Nye at Rome on Park Ave and asked, can I come work in your kitchen for a while? I need to get my feet back wet with this. He's also consulting with us on this project, and he's our official restaurant consultant. So I've been apprenticing under his chef for the last 6 months. So
Rome's a great place.
I love it. I know, I love it so much, and I've loved everything I've learned there. So I'll probably work there until our doors open, and then I'll be completely indentured servitude, like free food forever to Drew Nye. And then Valerie,
My background is all in numbers. I've worked in some restaurants, you know, in high school, like you said, but, you know, from when I was a junior in high school, I knew that I wanted to be an actuary. And so I went to college to be an actuary, and I've worked as an actuary since I graduated college. So, so I am our numbers person. I'm doing the budgets and the spreadsheets and the projections and the, you know, what can we afford to pay people, and that's my role. She does all of the operations and the marketing and everything else. I'm just the numbers.
Well-rounded. Very good.
Right. Board, other questions, comments? So I'd like to recognize Mr. Costello, and I hope that you have spent some good quality time with Mr. Costello. He's a wealth of knowledge for us here at the town. Jim, any thoughts, comments as it relates to obviously a historic site, and we want to be sensitive to that?
Thank you for mentioning that. The site is a National Historic Land site. It's one of the few in Penfield that we have. Most of them are local landmarks, but that is a national landmark, and the two ladies are aware of that. Wendi, if you could just spend a minute talking a little bit about more of the outside aspect of the business and what your intent is to do with the building and that type of thing for the board.
I mean, the one major change that I want to make to the building, and I spent some time at the historic library at the Penfield Library, and was thrilled to see. I thought when I first saw them that it was the original color, but then Kathy said, you know, no, that's just the first time they got a good picture of it. But at some point, it was white. The entire structure was white with black trim, and that's our brand colors. So we want to take it back to barn white with black trim. We'd like to build one small outbuilding so we can have a riding lawnmower and snowplow and any of like equipment that we might need, because I'd like to put in an organic kitchen garden out there near the space where the Adirondack chairs are. So you're really enjoying the nature and the beauty of Ellison Park, and we only want to add to that. I don't want to do anything, you know, that takes away from the natural beauty of the park. We want people to just kind of blend into that space and enjoy the creek and you just enjoy the space out there. There's and we do want to do if we can, if it's possible. If we can't, we can't. But we'd hope to turn one of the windows in at the very back of the ballroom into a door and a dog run that runs out to a small penned-in area. So when it is beautiful outside, we could have a small area where dogs could go and get some fresh air. You know, if that doesn't work, then we're totally fine with that because of the county dog park, but it was just a pie in the sky idea.
You did talk to the Historic Preservation Board about that the other evening, and because the
Yeah.
ballroom was built in the 90s, as you mentioned, that, I mean, it's not really the whole property is historic, but that is not truly part of the original building, so I don't think the board was overly concerned by that proposal.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, pretty much anything on the exterior, we want to blend in. We want to just blend in to the Ellison Park and make it a nice, beautiful gathering place for people to come. And if you don't have a dog, you don't have to have a dog. You can still come and have dinner and a beer, watch the game. We want to do, you know, trivia nights and karaoke nights and just make it a fun gathering place, you know, that's open 6 days a week. You know, we want to do Saturday and Sunday brunch as well, and maybe incorporate some fun and shenanigans with the puppies and brunch. We're not really sure what that looks like yet, but something like that. We're not sure.
Penfield's version of the Puppy Bowl.
Kind of.
Yes.
Well, definitely. I mean, I have absolute aspirations to get us on the Today Show. We're going to get in the Puppy Bowl. I have some friends, so I think we're going to find a way to get ourselves on the Puppy Bowl. Yeah.
Very good, very good. All right. Board, other questions or comments at this point?
Wendy, just a quick question. The basement, you referred to setting that up as the wine bar. That's a future plan? Is that what?
Yeah. Yeah, for budget reasons, we're not 100% sure that we can afford to do that right out of the gates. So it may just have to sit, it may have to wait for about 12 months.
And it's been a while since I've been in the building, so I didn't realize, I don't know what the basement's even like or set up, if it's even ready for something like
Oh,
that.
it has a full bar and a fireplace. I mean, we could put it into a speakeasy. It's got a deck off the back of it. It's awesome.
Nice, nice.
You know, the last time I was ever in the Daisy Flour Mill was when we had the bicentennial. Okay, that was in 2010. And we had our bicentennial gala there because we wanted to do it something historic, you know, and that was a great facility to do that. And I still remember the owners at the time, because I was chairing the bicentennial. We took a tour around the whole place. And back in the day, you know, when I was a child, and we used to go there, downstairs, that's where Gabby and Joni would play. I mean, that was a place, that was a lounge. I still remember that down there as I got older. And, but she said at the time that the water, the floods, you know, the water was so high. It's you know, it's located in a precarious place. And,
Yeah.
You have to take that into account because
For
that's
sure,
why they closed back in the day. It was because of water damage and
for sure.
issues of that nature.
Yeah, yeah. We'll have to keep that in mind with the basement, for sure.
And Wendy, I'm sorry if you said this earlier and I missed it, but is there a max number of dogs you're gonna allow in that ballroom area at a given time?
We don't have that number yet because I don't have today was the day we went in there and designed the dog park. And so I don't have the final blueprints and know what my exact square footage is gonna be. Once we know that, we're gonna follow the guidelines for the health and safety of dogs. So we're not gonna ever overload it or anything like that.
All right, great, thank you.
We'll even do, I've seen on a couple of different websites where you can do a capacity meter. So on your app or on your website, the customer can go on there and see what the dog park capacity is at. And that'll be good for COVID too, because we can let them know what the capacity of the restaurant is. And if they're not comfortable coming in because we're so full, they can know that from the capacity meter.
Great, thank you.
Wendy, I know you said that the places in Texas were outdoors. Is there any that were indoors? Is there anything like a page we could go to look at what you're talking about a little bit? Or
No.
nothing? Okay.
There's some places that have
I mean,
a
there's,
little bit of indoor space, right? Wasn't there one in?
there was one in Seattle that had
Seattle.
some indoor space, but it was very mixed where there was no partition. It was just a big open bar.
Yeah.
It was like
Okay.
half pint
So
on
that's
Park
not
Ave,
what you're
where
talking
they're doing it illegally, kind of, so to speak.
Okay.
We don't want to do that. We want it to be very legal and never have to get in trouble. Like we even want to put, when you walk in the doors to the main entrance, you walk in the two sets of doors. When you look to the right and there's the restaurant or bar right there, we want to put a half wall up that is completely prohibitive of anyone walking through to the restaurant. They would have to go through that room, that weird little room that's in like a cave, that you'd walk straight through there, meet the hostess, and go into the restaurant. Otherwise, you take a left and you go into the dog park. It's very separate from food and alcohol from dog park.
And then all the restaurant facilities, specifically the kitchen portion of that new building, that'll be all taken out and added to the overall square footage, or will that be repurposed for something else?
No, you know, that catering kitchen, I actually want to keep most of that. There's two doors in the ballroom that go, you know, in and out
Right.
to the kitchen. We want to remove one of the doors and just have one that you waitstaff would walk out and then walk out the door to the deck to serve, but no food would ever need to go into the dog park. So that would be cut off. There would be a half wall there as well.
Got it. Okay. All right. And in a perfect world, what are you looking at by way of how this might progress if the board looks favorably with this? How do you see this progressing, and when would you like to see yourself opened?
October 1st.
October 1st.
That's our hope.
That's our hope. October 1st.
Okay. I'll ask board at this point, any additional questions, either for Wendy or Valerie at this point, regarding the operation proposal, thoughts that they have?
Sorry, Wendy, just one more question that you just mentioned about coming in to the building. So is it possible that patrons coming in to go to the restaurant would be entering at the same time as someone with their St. Bernard or something like that? I mean,
Yes.
they'd be together, so.
Yeah, the big double doors, there's two sets of big double doors. So yes, if you're coming to the Rock Dog Lounge and you hate dogs, it's not the restaurant for you.
Got it.
For sure. Like, you can definitely come and say, I don't have a dog and I don't want to pet dogs, but you may see a dog. Because also the restrooms are right by the check-in area. So, and like I said, we're gonna have referees that are always trying to maintain safety and maintain distance between everyone. And there will be an exit-only set of doors. The current double ballroom doors, that will be exit only. So when it's time for you to leave the restaurant and go pick up your dog, you must exit through those doors. There is no entrance through those doors. So there will be no cross traffic of like,
Okay.
I'm trying to leave and people are trying to come. The entrance is entrance only.
All right.
So we're trying to make sure that we truly address like any sort of traffic jams or congestion that can happen, because when dogs are on leashes, that's when they're in their most defensive mode. And so we want to make sure that patrons feel safe and that no dogs are getting to skirmishes. And we will make sure that, you know, we have staff to cover that too.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions, board? All right, I'll ask Mr. Costello, anything addition that we haven't discussed this evening that you believe is pertinent to the record?
Yes, thank you. Some of the board members have not been involved in a special permit process with an historic site in quite some time. So as Valerie and Wendy know, that in our discussions, they would have to make a formal application to the board for a public hearing. Of course, all the neighbors would be notified. It would be published in the papers, and then you make your presentation, and then we would seek public input, and after that, the board would make a decision as to whether or not the permit was issued. That being the case, if it were, the Historic Preservation Board would also have to make a recommendation to the town board as part of that process. And then if it were all to go through, then you could start moving forward with remodeling permits and that type of thing.
Okay. Thank you. And I'll ask Wendy and Valerie, any additional comments that you would like to make that we haven't already discussed before we talk about some next steps?
No, sir. Good.
Okay. So sit tight for a moment, if you will, and board, I'll ask, based on what we've heard this evening, materials received by Mr. Costello from the applicants, does the board, would they like some additional soak time on this and to take a look at either a visit of the site or to take a look at the materials or digest anything we heard? Or is the board comfortable with having the applicants take the next step, and that would be working with Mr. Costello for a formal application before the board?
Oh, I would, you know, I'm open to change. This sounds really interesting. I would move that we let them go ahead and meet with Mr. Costello to talk further about putting the permit application together. I mean, it has to go through a hearing and so on like that, but I see no reason why we shouldn't. You know, let them put it forward and see how it's received.
I'd second that. I'd like to see.
I'm giving up.
Okay, so there's a motion on the table from Councilperson Cole, seconded by Councilperson Draw, to take the next step, which would be working with Mr. Costello to move forward with a formal application that would come before the board, and public hearing and notification to neighbors and residents in general regarding this proposal. Further discussion before I call a roll? Okay, seeing none, a motion's on the table and a second. I'll ask for a roll call vote of approval to move this application further.
Draw,
Aye.
Cole,
Aye.
LaFountain,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Ockenden,
Aye.
5 ayes.
Okay, so the next steps are that you're going to become even more familiar and acquainted with Mr. Costello. He will help coach, guide, and provide you the materials that you need to go through the formal application. And the sooner that you do that, obviously, the sooner that comes up for a hearing, because we have certain guidelines that we have to follow for allowing for advertising and things like that. So the sooner that you start that process, the sooner that you can start to move forward and get that scheduled before the board.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for your
Thank you.
time. Thank you for your interest in this. And as always, please be well and be safe.
Thank you all. You do the same.
All right, thank you. Okay, we will move on to action items. The first action item this evening is one that we discussed 2 weeks ago, request for 2 driveway curb cuts at 123 Water Song Trail. Mr. Tate led us through this, and we did table it to give the board an opportunity for some further review. And at this point, I'll open it up for any discussion.
Mr. Supervisor, I just want to say I was the one that actually wanted it this table, so I appreciate another couple weeks here to take a look at this. I've been over to that site, the 123 Water Song Trail, a couple of different times to take a look at it. I still, I don't feel that we need they need 2 curb cuts at that location. And if that's the case, if they wanted an additional one on the other street, on the street where the new builds is going to be, I could go for that, but not keeping another one, because I feel like with the amount of traffic, the low density of traffic in that area, that I don't think they need another curb cut on that property. I think it's an easy enough in and out. As I said, if they got a different, when the road is finished, they got a different curb cut and then wanted to get rid of the other one, I could go for that, but I cannot vote for 2 curb cuts on that property.
Okay.
Just to share with the board, we do have Mr. Ancha Tomaso has
Thank you.
joined us. I know there were a few questions that were kind of brought up 2 weeks ago. I didn't know the.
So here you, I thought Tony would say something.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can hear Deb, but we can't hear Eric if he's talking.
Okay.
Okay.
Can
Is
you
the
guys hear me?
microphone- Is the microphone on?
Can you hear me now?
Still a little red box there, still muted.
Yeah, it is muted.
come on.
Eric, you are muted.
Okay, we're gonna
TV2 is.
do a little shuffle here. Okay.
Can you guys hear me better now?
Board, can you hear Eric?
Can you hear me better now?
Okay, so just hang tight just for a minute, guys. We're gonna just double check all of our connections to make sure that we're all together. And so just bear with us just for a moment, and we'll see if we can get. Okay, go ahead.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Great, thank you.
I know just for your sake, there were a few questions that were brought up and discussed 2 weeks ago. I do have Mr. Ancha Tomaso. He has zoomed in and would like him to be able to help answer those questions, as I didn't know the exact answer and didn't want to speak on behalf of him.
Got it. Do we have John Anatomaso with us?
Here he is.
All right, we can, there we go. So, thank you for joining us. Board, and I'll ask, did you hear the conversation that Debbie had presented regarding this item?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure you heard that piece. All right, I'll open it up, board. Any questions for John? He's representing, obviously, from the building side / realtor side, and current property owner before this final build and sale gets done. So, questions for him?
John, just a question. Looking at the diagram that we had a few weeks ago, it appeared that the house was positioned in such a manner that kind of pointed towards the intersection. And am I to assume that that's the whole purpose of the the two curb cuts is to kind of accommodate that so that you're maximizing the backyard space?
That is exactly it. We've been working with this customer for several months, and this family is looking at putting this house on this lot. And hopefully everybody realizes that a corner lot has two 40-foot setbacks. And with that being said, it's just impossible to go straight along Mayor's Garden. They end up with 30-foot backyard. If they go straight along Watersong Trail, it doesn't fit. The house does not fit on the setback. The side setback at 40 is just impossible to work with. So by us doing what we're doing, we're trying to put the garage on the right side and maximize the backyard for them exactly. And that, along with just the fitting of the house, the helping them with a little bit better coordination as far as the driveway situation, and it just works, and it blends to it in this fashion. And when they had talked to us originally about this, my first step was to go to Jim Costello, and we're trying to do the right things instead of just doing it. I just drove around Penfield the last couple of days, and I have 18 addresses that this happens in, from 5 Renwick to 2898 Atlantic Avenue to 496 Embury Road that was just recently giving a circular driveway. And then there's one on 104 Woodside Drive. There's 91 Witherspoon Lane and 1 Wildflower Lane. It's not anything that's gonna, I think, look bad, and it's not on Route 441 from a standpoint of curb cut. When we complete the road to connect to Brookmere eventually, everybody's gonna take that same route and go out Watersong the other way. There's probably only 7 houses that are gonna come by this corner, and the traffic is not anything to deal with. But it's really important for us to put this, we've tried to maintain Watersong in a way that the size houses and the quality and the things that we do, and if we can't, do this the way it is after all of our work and effort, I don't believe the family is going to go ahead and build this house.
Okay. Board, additional questions or comments for Mr. Anatomaso?
No, you have something? I was gonna say, I moved it last time, 2 weeks ago, and I moved to table it after Debbie had some questions, but I moved to take it off the table for consideration and move forward.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to move forward with dual curb cuts at that location. Further discussion, I'll give Mr. Tate any comments on your end that you'd like to add to the record?
No, nothing further.
Okay, thank you. And I'll just ask, board, any additional questions or comments that you'd like to add to the record? And Mr. Anatomaso, anything additional that you would like to add that we haven't already discussed this evening?
No, I'm all set.
Okay, you got it. All right, it's been moved and seconded. Ask for a roll call vote on this matter.
Draw,
No.
Cole,
Aye.
LaFountain,
No.
Moore,
Yes.
Ockenden,
Yes.
3 ayes, 2 noes.
Okay, the matter is approved and can move forward as originally planned. John, thank you for joining in. Appreciate it. Be well and be safe.
Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, we will move on to item B. Mr. Bullo, this is requesting the conditional use permit for a barbershop at 1822 and 1826 Penfield Road. As the board recalls, we did have a public hearing on this. We did discuss this item, and we had a couple of questions that came up specifically with regards to the painting of the building and to make sure that, one, that was in keeping with the Historic Preservation Board as well as the owner of the property. And then also there was some discussion about the sign hanging over the sidewalk and just making sure that that was vetted out properly with indemnities and insurances and things like that. So with that, I'm going to ask Mr. Costello to pick it up from there.
Thank you. You did a great job teeing it up. So Mr. Bullo actually attended an Historic Preservation Board meeting the other night because the building is in an historic district, and went through the process of identifying the signs that he's proposing, the size of the signs, as he did with this board, and also the proposed painting of the building. He gave paint chips to the board for its review and consideration. The board is supportive of that area of the building being painted a different color than the rest of the building. They don't feel it's going to be that much of a significant change or make the building look any less attractive than it does today. The one recommendation that they did make, though, is they'd like to see a transitional board on the eave area over the top of where you might see the barber pole right now on the picture I'm showing. So that with that transitional change will occur, it's just not a piece of paint going up next to one side versus the other. That they thought would look a little tacky. So he has agreed to install that as part of the remodeling process, and he will work with us to make sure that that's what the board wants done.
Okay. All right, Mr. Costello, thank you for the update. Board questions for, and I do see Mr. Bullo online. Welcome, sir.
Hello, how are you?
Yep, great. Good to see you. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
I'll ask the board any questions for either the applicant or for Mr. Costello.
Hey, Jim, Andy Moore here. I'm sorry, was that the Historic Preservation Board that made those recommendations?
Yes.
Okay, and did they vote on those? Did they?
They did. It's subject to this board's approval as well, but in the event that the board had a problem with that, they would then revisit it with the board, with this board, to ensure that there's consistency between the two boards for what's going to happen there. But they felt comfortable with it. And I also want to bring to attention to Mr. Bullo and to the board that because the one sign's overhanging the sidewalk area, which is an easement to the town of Penfield, and it is part of the public right-of-way, that Mr. Bullo and anybody else for that matter, we're going to talk about this at a later time here tonight, who wants to put a hanging sign up, will be required to sign an indemnification agreement and provide the town of Penfield as a third-party insured to ensure that if something happens with that sign because you're approving it, that the town is held harmless and covered and indemnified so that we don't have to take on any liability issues associated with it.
Okay.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that the Historic Preservation Board weighed in. Looks like they've extensively reviewed the application and made their recommendations for us to consider.
I spent a lot of time with Mr. Bullo the other evening, yes.
Okay.
All right. Board, other questions or comments? All right.
No, I'm just a comment, I guess. Thinking back to stories from the older generations that I'm exposed to, they speak of a barbershop in that same corner back in the day. And by the day, I think we mean the 40s or someplace back in that time frame. I wish Kathy was still on the call with us. I'd love to know when that was or which building it was. But I'm excited. I think it's a nice operation to bring back to the Four Corners and to have it in that same corner, perhaps even in the same space. I'm not sure of that, but very close if not. I'm excited that you're interested in bringing that to Penfield.
Dr. Pignato the other night, being the dinosaur that he is, very well remembered that being a barber shop when he was a young child. So you're right on target. It was at one time.
Yeah, my father spoke of it before as well. Yeah.
And also, Jim, weren't you still working for the town back then?
I started cutting hair there first.
That was a haircut or two ago, as they say. All right, great. With that, and seeing no further questions, and having this vetted out both with the public hearing by the town board and review by the Historic Preservation Board, I would entertain a motion of approval for this application.
So moved, Mr. Supervisor.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilperson Ockenden, seconded by Councilperson Moore. I'll just ask one last time, Mr. Costello, anything that has not been entered into the record that we should add to the record that we haven't discussed either previous nights or tonight?
I think you've thoroughly vetted it.
Okay. And then I'll just ask Mr. Bullo, as the applicant, any additional questions or comments that you have for the town board?
No, sir.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded. I'd ask for a roll call vote of approval for this application.
Draw,
Aye.
Cole,
Aye.
LaFountain,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Ockenden,
Aye.
5 ayes.
Okay, very good. That'll be subject to our normal conditions for this particular district. As Mr. Costello said, that there'll be an item in there about the sign hanging over the sidewalk. And I'd ask that you continue to work with Mr. Costello. If you have any questions, either for permits or other items before you open up.
Okay, sounds very good.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Be well and be safe.
Thank you, you too.
All right, take care. We'll move on to our last action item this evening. This is approval of CMIT Solutions sign at 1832 Penfield Road, which is just east of the location that we were talking about here earlier, the barbershop location. And with that, Mr. Costello.
Thank you. CMIT was approved by the board at that location, I think almost about a year and a half ago, somewhere around there. I think there's only one little sign inside the window. There's no advertising per se of the business from the street unless you're directly in front of the building. CMIT has requested to be able to put up a sign that's perpendicular to the building and street, and that would be the only signage they have. It's a 13 by 36 square foot sign. We have talked to CMIT. I know Andy Savegas had talked to Cheryl Nealon and noted that a sign such as this would require an indemnification agreement as well. I think she's supportive of doing that. She is with us this evening, I believe. She was earlier. I don't know if she still is. But this is the only signage that is proposed for the site to the exterior of the building, from what I understand.
Okay. Board questions for Mr. Costello? All right. Would entertain a motion to approve moving forward with this proposed sign.
I move that we move forward with the proposed sign.
Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay, so it was moved by Councilperson Cole, seconded by Councilperson Draw. Seeing no further questions on this or comments on this matter, would ask for a roll call vote of approval.
Draw,
Aye.
Cole,
Aye.
LaFountain,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Ockenden,
Aye.
5 ayes.
Okay. There being no further business to come before the board this evening, the February 10th, 2021 work session of the Penfield Town Board will stand adjourned at 7:56 p.m. Thank you for everyone that participated. Thank you to our team downstairs that keeps us live and on the screen and making us look as good as we can possibly be. And as always, please be well and be safe. Have a great evening.